Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I am Jeff Doss. How are you guys doing? Welcome, Insiders. Hope everyone's doing great. And we're excited to have you on an awesome show. We're going to have some fun discussion, a lot of different topics. Yeah, as we talked about at the bottom, as you can see, sport karate trigger words is going to be part of what we're talking about. Just some words.
Yep, that'll be one topic. Yeah,
we're going to do a fun little kind of rapid fire on the different topics and what we're thinking right now and what's going on in the world. If you are joining us, comment below. Let us know you're here. And if you want to ask us any questions, let us know. And we want you guys to be involved. So
if you think we're great, let us know. And if you don't, I don't know. I kind of maybe don't care. But you can let us know that we're great anyway, even though you don't like us.
All right, so we're going to get into some things about our sponsor, Virtual Fight Tour. But first, guys, how's everybody doing? Alex, we haven't really done this in a while. How was your Easter?
Dude, I was just thinking the same thing. I was like, bro, we've always got this thing that we've got to talk about. We've got this guest that we've got to come on, and we always have great guests. Shout out to Alex Lane. That was a great show last week.
That was a great show last week, yeah.
Right. But I feel like, man, you're the person I see so much that I really just don't even get to catch up on. Right.
That's right.
I mean, one thing it was like your buddies from 5-6 years ago. Like, wow, man, we haven't caught up in a while. I see you every single week.
Right.
Oh man, right. I'm doing great. Easter was great.
Same here, man.
You know what? I'm going to tell you one little tidbit about Easter that my mother-in-law does. That's kind of cool. So the kids do not do Easter egg hunts, right?
Okay.
They don't do the egg hunts. So we kind of did for a while, and we kind of did this other thing, and the Easter egg hunts. So then she stopped, and what she did this really cool thing. The kids plant jelly beans in her landscaping because there's no flowers or anything right now. There's nothing. Right. It's just there was snow on the ground a couple days ago. Some craziness. So there's no landscaping, right? So what she does is she gives them a little pouch, a little thing of jelly beans. And they just kind of dig a little handful. I'm telling you, this big, right? Tiny, literally the size of your hand. And they just kind of dig and they put a couple jelly beans in there and then they cover it up. And then they go over to the spot and they dig and then they cover it up. And then what she's doing is it's cool because she videotapes oh, where are you putting yours? Oh, this is going to be fun. And then on Easter, what's supposed to happen is then they grow into candy.
Oh, wow.
It's kind of cool. Cool touch. You don't do the Easter egg hunt. You just go, you plant jelly beans and you go back and all of a sudden there's your candy. It's the same thing.
Cool. That's cool.
Right?
That's cool. I like it.
It's kind of cool. Here's what my kids did. So my kids, they go, oh, we're supposed to dig and then plant the jelly beans? So they just dig a big hole and then just dump all of them in one spot. I'm like, I don't think you're supposed to do it like that. I think you're supposed to plant them all around the yard. And my daughter goes, but Daddy, if I just put them all right here, then all my candy right here will grow.
Smart, yeah.
Can't really argue with that logic, right? I mean, it kind of ruins the fun of going around and finding them. But hey, I will definitely pat you on the back for figuring out a way to circumvent the system to get yourself some more goods. So go ahead.
That's right. Yeah.
And then my son, my son's eating them, and I'm like, no, you understand? You don't want to eat them. He goes, but Daddy, I thought we were supposed to get candy. Yeah, I know, but the idea is that you take this little candy, and then you get big candy later. So, and then last thing I'll say about this, my son who's 3, right? My son Zachary, he's 3. He was on the show a couple weeks ago. Popped in, right? Yeah, right, Jim. It is sound logic, right? So, Zachary, I'm not kidding you. Without exaggeration, it had 10 to 12 lollipop suckers throughout the day, right? Wow. And I'm just like, this kid's wrecked. At one point, I'm like, where is he? Where did he go? And he's got double fist and he's eating 2 at a time. And I'm like, this kid, you have to stop, right? So yeah, he had some.
I love it.
But that's it.
That's great.
That was the end of my
That's
Easter.
good. That's good. Yeah,
I hope you had a good one. What was yours like?
We did. We had a great one.
You had a good Easter
Great
service?
Easter.
Did you go to Easter service?
Yeah, ours was
We
at
had a pretty good one, man.
we did too. We had one. We actually had it at the minor league baseball field. So it was
Excuse me,
pretty
what did you
awesome.
say?
Yeah, we so the one of the churches that I go to has 3 services. So and it's huge. So to fit all of it in one, so they could only have one service, they did it at the minor league baseball field. So there was no
Why did you
seats
say the
available.
one of the churches you go to?
Because I go to 2 churches. I go to I go to 2 churches. So just one that I've always went to, and then one I'm trying out and stuff. So yeah.
All right, I'm picking up what you're throwing down.
Yeah. So
I got you.
but yeah, so that was really cool.
That's
really
some
exciting.
Christianese right there. You don't know unless you know.
But and you know, our kids are bigger, so older. But they wanted to do still fun doing an egg hunt, so we did it at night. And
Did an
with
egg hunt at
everyone
night.
had with flashlights and stuff. Yeah, that was fun. It was a lot of fun. So
It reminds me of going snipe hunting at Conroy's.
exactly, that's exactly what I thought it was too. Well, and what's
Is that
funny
what
is
you thought of when you were doing
I
that?
was like, because guess this is what they had. They were getting bats, and they had air what do you call them? Air rifles, air assault rifles. Yeah.
Stop.
Yeah. Shooting each other. So
Wait,
yeah,
they
so
were
it was
shooting each
interesting.
other?
Yeah. Hey man, you know this is
Why?
what teenagers do, all right? It's fun.
I mean, all right. That's cool, I guess.
Yeah, it was cool.
So wait
All
a
right.
minute. So we're talking it's probably like 9, 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah, about 8. Yeah, 8:30. Something like that.
Oh, that's right. So it gets
Yeah.
dark early. It's dark now, right?
Right.
So at 8, 9 o'clock at night, and they're out trying to do an egg hunt
But then
and
stealing each
shooting
other's
other people so that they don't get their eggs, or just
Right.
like, hey, you're standing
mostly
there.
it's just for that. Yeah. I mean, that's what you do to your brothers.
That's a
and
lot of
sisters, you know?
entertainment all in one.
Yeah. So
All right, I
it was a lot of fun.
could get involved in that. That could be cool.
So it was a lot of fun. All right, guys. So we're going to go ahead and talk about Virtual Fight Tour. So the big thing that all the hype has been about is put up or shut up. The men's teams, you know, next level already put up their $1,000. You know, guys, you can go ahead and get registered now. Go to virtualfighttour.com and register. If you click buy tickets, this is your time. You can go ahead and register for it. You know, don't talk about it, be about it. So we've seen at the last tournament, you know, some good teams compete. Now we're looking at the opportunity to get an even bigger pot. You know, we know that at the Battle of Atlanta, it's going to be a lot of big teams. And I think we're going to see more come out and get registered as these next few months kind of go. So let's go ahead and start doing that. You know, that's where the hype is. Who would you like to see do this? I mean,
yeah, I want to see a lot. Big
me too.
picture, Jeff. Don't we want all of the teams to be
all
there?
of the teams, yeah, all of them.
So
like, again, if you don't want to be the best, then like, why are you competing on this circuit anyway? You know what I mean? So like, or even against the best, like learn. Remember what we talked about last week, right? You and Alex shared. You went to tournaments. If you weren't on a team, you were trying to get on a team or pick up a team just so that way you could fight against the best, right? Alex said
right. That was your way.
People.
It wasn't even like being on the team
No,
for fighting was
hey,
not the goal. Being on a team for fighting was more opportunity to fight, not because you went to more events. It was because now you got a chance to do another division in team fighting. And the only people who are participating in team fighting were the best.
Right.
That's why it never really made sense to me. People who are like, you know, I'm not quite sure if I'm ready to compete, but maybe I'll do team fighting. Maybe I'll do my division later. And I'm like, that is the most backwards logic, right?
Right.
But people like that. It sounds good to them because now when they're on the team, it's not just them out there. If they get smoked, it's not over, right?
Right. That's
true. But it is. Right.
Here's a team.
But I had this thought.
All right, go ahead
and tell me what you think. So about like the VFT, because I know Jesse said you gotta be on a team. You can't just like switch teams and this person
Right.
from that team and this. But what if, and I don't know the answer to this, what if there's just a group of guys who just aren't on a team at all? Maybe that, because I don't know. And I think about recently, because every tournament has it, but there's a pickup team. But
Right.
it is very rare that a pickup team makes it through a couple of good teams.
Depends
Right?
on who the pickup team is. You know what I mean?
Right.
I mean,
So,
I can think of several events where a pickup team had like one person from each top level team. So
but that's different.
yeah,
Right?
right, right.
But I mean guys who were never on a team. Right? So like I think about,
You
and it
saying they
wasn't
can pair up, get together, group up?
right. That's what that would be great. So like I think about like in 2014, um, who was it? Josh Smith, Jamie Cravens, um, why is it blank in my mind? Jim Haymore,
Mm-hmm.
and then Ross Cook decided, hey, it's the US Open. Every team in the world is here. We just like to get around in. And then they damn near beat everybody. I mean, everybody. They just smoked through them all. Jim Haymore was spin kicking people on backsides.
Yeah.
Ross Cook blitzed through the world, right? And really they beat a few top teams.
Mm-hmm.
They beat WKF, right? They should have beat JPM, and it should have been them versus the All-Stars in the final. It really should have been. And I think about it like, why not?
Right.
You know? But
cool.
I think it wouldn't be fair if it was like, hey, Brandon Balu from Straight Up, he's gonna fight with, somebody.
Like what they did at Rhode Island, like him. Let's say the team they did him, Avery, and Luis. Or something like that, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
When
or like the team that
all
I
right,
remember
clearly,
was
guys,
at,
this is okay and within the rules, but we know all three of you guys are on different teams. We all know you're making up a team, which is cool. It's fine. But for this event, I think Jesse's right. Like, that's not cool, right? Because then we still don't know if that team wins. Then we're like, well, then we still don't have the answer. Who's the best team?
So one of those teams I always think of. I think it was New England Open. It was Ross, Cass, and Greg Betlock. That was a cool team. They did a good job. I remember they beat Proper for the final on that one.
They had that was a really good collection of chemistry.
Yeah.
Right. And I think just Ross being just like the decision maker and leader. Right. And then Greg was this kind of the most senior guy on the team, but that's not his personality. Right. So, and I think, with Ross and Cass already having like a relationship of fighting together, plugging Greg in, man, that would have been a team. Like, what if those guys would have been a team?
Yeah. Right.
That would have been great, And really, I think Conway wanted Greg to fight with him for a while, but just JPM took him. What are you gonna do?
Yeah, it just didn't happen. Yeah. All right. So also it's open for females and also senior teams. Okay. So right now there's not a pot yet. So it's up to whoever's the first team that wants to go there and say, hey, we want to do it. Put whatever you're going to put up, and then everyone starts matching it. I think we can get a lot of female teams. And I think this could be a great opportunity to put that highlight into it more. Like just thinking about it for our team, for Heartland South, we could possibly have two teams.
Maybe that's something though, and I don't know. Obviously, Jesse's he's the decision maker at all, and far be it from me to say anything as to what he should do, because he's created something fantastic, right? Just keep this thing going. But maybe that's one that you go, you know what? I don't know that there's a lot of teams that have two female fighters. So what if we open that up? Maybe. Possibly, I don't know. I don't know the answer to that.
I never understand why having, and Sean Elliott and I always talk about, it's like, what's the point of picking up one female when it takes two to have a team? So most teams, if you're going to have females, pick up two. Just makes sense, right? So But yeah, there's a pot already for men, so that's 1K. So we're figuring out what it would be for women and senior. And I think too, I didn't really get to talk to Jesse about this part, and you and I just talk like, what's the rules? I think whoever is that first team that says, hey, just 3 men, 35 up, or maybe it's 30, 130, 140, 150. I don't know. I'd say if you want to do it, that first
35 and up.
team at least puts it out there that, I like 35 and up.
I think 35 and up, it's hard to find. There's not a lot of guys in their 50s
right
that are fighting. The 40s, the 40s look great.
Yeah,
I looked at I was telling you this when we was at AKA, and I was looking at the 30s, and I'm like, I don't know, maybe I do want to come back. And I looked at the 40s, and I was like, never mind.
That's right.
These guys are amazing.
But man, so I mean, I think you guys, if you haven't checked it out yet, go ahead, go to virtualfighttour.com, get signed up, contact Jesse. Brian, yes, Willie Bam Johnson is part of the MMA point fighting. All right, just to answer your question there. All right, so
now wait a minute before we leave the VFT team topic.
Yes, sir.
Well, I kind of talked to you about this off air.
Oh yeah.
What if, right? No one's on a team. What if
there's a Legends team, right?
Ray, Jason, and Jody.
Well, Ray's on a team. Okay, so let's
Ray's
say
on a team.
Jody,
all right. So let's say you
Jason.
go Trevor, Jason, and Jody.
He's technically on All-Star, but yeah.
But you see what I'm saying?
But I know what you mean. Yeah.
All these guys north of 40. At first, people are going to go, oh, man, come on now. You got guys north of 40. Heck, Jody's going to be 50 in probably, a year and a half? You know what I mean?
I still don't think many of those guys want to fight him.
I know. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
I mean, there's a handful of guys who would be like, yes, I think I could beat him, right? And I think all of them would probably love to fight him. But damn, could you imagine?
That would be cool.
Even still, like right now,
just put up the Legends team.
Like, you give Jason Burrell 90 days to train for anything. Watch the hell out.
Right, and especially in a team type thing too.
Remember how
I think they can make some
when he did the Kumite Classic thing when they had the 10K thing,
and they made it all the way to the
finals. Like, where was Jason Burrell all year before that? He didn't even know he was around, and he went in and was freaking magical.
It was awesome. Yeah, it was like watching him back in like 2004 or something.
Exactly.
Great. Yeah, which to me is still his best year. So, all right, so let's go to the man of the week, Bobby Cerunio, the third, man. This guy, golly, congrats, man, on your Bellator, your second Bellator win. Here,
Bobby Cerunio had one awesome counter. It was almost a counter blitz knockout, right?
Right.
And just made the whole jaw and head just go jiggle, jiggle, jiggle.
Boom.
Right.
And the dude was just like sitting there, like,
oh yeah, it was done. Right.
It was awesome. It was awesome. What's one thing that people haven't been talking about either is that was like the main event of the prelims. That was the last fight of the prelims. So by that time, everyone's filling up. For a person who's only his second pro fight, the crowd was just like, he brought the crowd. So he's a very valuable fighter to Bellator because of, look at there's at least 200 to 300 probably people there for him, so, and it sounded like a lot more than that because all I heard was Bobby, Bobby, Bobby. It was great. So I believe it was in the second round, and maybe it was the first round. I don't remember, but he took him down. Yeah, it was second round. He took him down. His wrestling is so good. Reminds me of like watching GSP because he uses his closing distance from point fighting and his great stand-up skills to learn how to close the gap and then take for the takedown. Instead of just closing that for the punch, he knows how to use that blitz in the same way to do the takedown, which is
he goes
something
through.
Right. And which is something that GSP, said, this is how I became great at wrestling is from my karate background and knowing how to use the blitz. Which again is, to me, he's, he's just in a whole nother level. GSP is, because of someone who went from no wrestling at all to becoming probably the greatest wrestler in MMA, and it was just crazy. Now of course could be even stuff, but again, Bobby has a background, was a great wrestler in high school, wrestled some in college, and his dad, his school, they create some great fighters, great wrestlers. They have a wrestling program, sport karate program, a Kaju Kimbo program. So big shout out to Seronios. You guys keep killing it. His takedowns were amazing. He had several slams, and just being able to go up and down. His ground and pound was great, and just overall, it was a great fight. The other thing too is what people that were just seeing the highlights. That knockout came after maybe 20 seconds after a groin shot that he took. So he took the groin shot and needed the timeout to, get situated, and then boom, knockout right from there.
That's important to understand, is getting the full context of the match.
Exactly.
Because I didn't see it, real time. I didn't see the full
right.
the full.
Yeah, I watched it live. Yeah.
Right. And a great example of that is, he's had a number. He's had dozens upon dozens of great knockouts, which is Raymond Daniels. He's had dozens of those, but there is one that's above all of them, and that was, the most,
right.
videoed one, which was the one in Glory when he did, the two-touch sidekick and knocked him out.
Yeah.
People forget that he almost knocked that guy out with a punching combo right before that.
Right before that.
And probably could have, right? He probably looked at you and goes, I probably could have knocked you out. So I know whatever I hit you with next, you're going lights out.
Yeah.
Brilliant, genius plan on his end to do it like that. So all that to be said, the context is to what was going on in the match beforehand. That's important. But to look at it like what you're saying with Bobby, homeboy got railed in the groin.
Right, and it was a nasty knee to the groin too. It was in full-fledged. And right after that, to knock him out. I mean, he's just showing the poise at a young age. Watching him, he really uses his sidekick to really just set things up and throw people off. Amazing sidekick. Always has had an amazing sidekick. People don't know, man. Bobby Serrano is one of the most accomplished junior fighters in NBL history. I think he is the most accomplished junior fighter. Every year winning teams, continuous, and point, 5 years in a row or something crazy like that. And
if he would have did the Bailey Murphy strategy, he could have been, in the contention for lightweight overalls possibly as well. Right?
I think he would have. He had the talent, he had the knowledge, but he put it into wrestling and into MMA. That's where he's been on that track.
I always feel bad for juniors that are that much ahead of where the rest of their class is, because there's been a number of them.
Or a Bailey.
Exactly. And one of them is my competitor of the week that I want to talk about later. We'll get to that at that point, where you look at them and you go, all right, what are you really competing for in this event? Right? If you stay focused, no one has a chance to beat you. It's all right, what's your goal? Can I possibly not get scored on at all?
Mm-hmm.
That's what your goal is at that point, because you're handcuffed within your competition. You're like, why can't you go adult? Why not?
Right. All
right. See what I mean?
All right. So what are some of the techniques that you feel like from the point fighting style transfer over real well to MMA?
Blitz.
The blitz is key.
People say no, but look at what Michael Page has done with it.
Yes, exactly.
Right? Michael Page does it. I think Michael Page, I've said this before, I think he's a better MMA fighter, full contact MMA fighter than he ever was a point fighter.
Yeah.
But he couldn't have done it without his point fighting. And that's not to say he wasn't a good point fighter, right? He absolutely was a fantastic point fighter. But it's like, all right, when you would sometimes watch him and then he'd take third place in an event, and you're like, well, yeah, that's like the rest of us.
Right.
We'll win a division, we'll win a grand, and then someone else will beat us. So like, you're not at the elite, right? You're just like kind of like the rest of us good fighters. But that's not what he is in MMA, right? He's one of the face of Bellator, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's few guys that I would want to watch more than Michael Page right now, right? So the way he uses that blitz is all about, when you say point fighting style, the way he uses it, he goes through with his body. He doesn't dive and go low. He makes sure he's upright. And as he goes front hand, backhand, right?
Right.
And makes sure that his chest runs straight through, which is such an important part of that, right? Mike P said he's got a title fight coming up.
Exactly.
And I hope he gets that back. Because ever since that fluke knockout, which was like a couple of years ago, right? Yeah. He's been like, get me back in the title. Get me back in the title. I'll knock this guy out. Get me back.
And he got that fight. He won that fight in a decision. It wasn't the prettiest, but I think he needed a win like that though to show that he could grind it out. And said, I think that's what shows an all-around fighter. Like you're not going to win them all by a pretty knockout.
But I think as far as the style, I think the spacing is the most important. It's the biggest difference to what we do than what everybody else does. And speaking of, there we go. Mike P says it again. Dean Barry, this guy, his point fighting style and his full contact style are different than anybody. Like, you get a chance to watch him as a point fighter. You look at it and you're like, this is really weird, right? This is a little different, right? And he finds himself winning, right? Like he'll kick a few people in the head. Like he'll do it like multiple times in the tournament. And you're like, this kick really kind of looks a little garbage, right? In comparison, right? To like some of the other guys out here kicking. How are you kicking people in the head and these guys can't? It's just so interesting the way he does it, right? But it is intentional, right? I've talked to him about his training. I've talked to his coach about how he approaches it. Mm-hmm. He works very well within the skill set that he has, right? So I can't wait to see his fight this weekend. I want to see it, right? Because this guy,
I'm excited.
He's been for a few years trying to get in to something without any fights, guys canceling on him. Yeah, but the spacing is key, and there's some young guys right now in the point fighting world that, man, I mean, what if they decided to go full contact, and really do it?
Well, right now we keep forgetting about so many different people that are working their way up to that pro level. We're getting people, we have Hope Chase, Bridget Chase from the NBL scene that are in Invicta, which is the #1 women's league right underneath, UFC. It's kind of like the feeder system, right? Both of them are in there. Raw just had Mihaela Keller on, and I had talked about her before. She's won several amateur MMA and kickboxing titles and gonna start going into pro very soon. So, or possibly already had her first pro fight. She uses that spacing and timing from point karate.
Speaking of someone, hey, are you gonna be a great karate fighter? Yes, you are. You're gonna be because that's what no.
We asked last week.
We're talking about. Yeah. We're talking about right now some of the great women fighters in karate. Yep. Hey, you had a karate class today, didn't you?
Yeah.
How'd you do?
How'd it go?
Okay. All right. You going to bed now? All right. Give me a hug. All right. Awesome. Love you. All right. You got to go. Love you.
But we have Mihaela out there. We also have Jerica Trias, who was on Proper All Stars. She has One, she fights for a big group out there, LFA, which is a big group. You know, we have Ross coming in with Karate Combat. Robbie about to fight for Karate Combat. So
I want to see Robbie
yeah,
do that.
we are
That's gonna
seeing
be
that
great.
point fighting style in full contact. I think, and again, I think it transfers over in MMA, transfers over in full contact, transfers over in this karate contact. Even in different styles, like even like point fighting, we're seeing point fighting get more exposure and popular in TKD, in Taekwondo. You know, there's a big push for
They changed their whole system based off of
yeah,
how point
right,
fighters fight.
exactly. So we're
And
really
I will
seeing that
say,
influence.
it wasn't for the best
Yeah,
because they're using like a lead leg. Like they were better off just staying with the style they had because they're using their lead leg. They're doing all of the worst things about sport karate fighting. Like all the
well,
things that
listen,
you're like,
I
oh
like the lead
yeah, I
leg
can't
because that's
stand
just
point fighting.
right,
That's what they do. They don't do
right.
any of the good stuff. They just do the bad stuff.
Okay, anyway,
Am I
let's
right
not talk
though? Am
about
I
that.
right?
Right. Except the front leg side. I like the front leg side.
But they don't sidekick.
I know
Nobody should
it's
ever
just a touch.
complain
Yeah.
about a front leg side kick to the body scoring after watching a TKD side kick. Nobody should.
Mike, yeah, Ross has not fought yet. That is coming up soon. I think they're getting a date set up from what I heard. Or they already put it out.
That guy's going to be fantastic.
But for me, the style is the side kick, the lead leg side kick. You know, if it's shuffle, if it's a skip, a push, whatever, I think you're seeing that more really be effective in MMA and even in kickboxing. It's a little different in kickboxing because you know you have someone coming straight at you at first. You know, you're hitting them with the side, but a lot of times they're able to wear you down with the leg kicks, right? That's what we kind of saw with when Raymond got into it. But with
It's
MMA,
actually harder in kickboxing than
right?
it is in MMA. With
Correct,
the
because of the rear legs, but because of the takedowns and things like that. So in the
I
clinch
really
game,
think because if you have a great,
cage,
powerful sidekick, that foot has to go somewhere,
exactly,
and when you're done, it's likely going to go down, and when you go down, pow! That's when they just destroy that leg, right?
right.
So they'll eat a
But you
sidekick if
don't
they feel like they
see
can
them
take it
doing
and
that
not
as
move
much,
back too much,
right?
and then just rail on that leg. And then that's why I feel like Ross Levine's going to do great because try to rail on his tree trunk legs.
Yeah, exactly. You're not.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, no, he hasn't fought yet. Ross
Nope,
hasn't
not
fought
yet,
yet.
but it's
All
gonna
right,
be
so
great.
guys, like go out support these guys. I know there's Isaac that was on Gypsy. He just fought, had a great MMA fight. There's a lot of guys that are doing MMA right now from sport karate schools that are doing
I got a
great.
question about that, Jeff.
Yeah.
And we didn't talk about this yet, but is there anybody you feel like, you know what, this person will be great?
And we've talked about it a little bit before.
If they went MMA, is there
Brandon,
anybody fighting
Brandon
right
Buller.
now
Brandon Buller.
you feel like
That's
if
an
you
easy
went
one.
MMA?
Brandon. Yeah, Brandon.
Brandon?
I said Brandon. Brandon's one. The other one, I'm not sure right now. I don't know who I was
Hard,
thinking,
right?
but I think Brandon was definitely one. And you know what? There's some low key people that we don't know have wrestling backgrounds or have great jujitsu backgrounds. You know, like most people didn't know that Butch Marks was a black belt in jujitsu. You know,
I did not know that until like
yeah.
years after. I
So
think
yeah.
what's great also is, and then we can move on, which is fine, is because like we mentioned it before, a guy like Angel Huerta, right?
Yeah.
He was a pretty good point fighter. He was all right.
He was really good at continuous.
Yeah, but he was actually pretty soft as a point fighter. He was a soft point fighter,
Okay.
right? Like he was the guy that you'd be angry about. Oh, let's put it like this: he took a page out of the Latona brothers playbook. He was on the floor all the time, right?
Well, all right. That's also a little different too because
But
he was
you
coming
would
from the
not
NBL
expect,
background.
but you wouldn't expect him
Right.
to transfer to MMA
Mhm.
and be even better. You
Right.
would not have expected that based off of his point fighting style. No way. Right?
Mhm.
So that's where it's like, all right, you could be better than. So maybe, I don't know, maybe there's some middleweight guys, maybe Devin Hopper.
Yeah. So,
I
see, I'm
could see
thinking
if
some
Devin
guys like
Hopper,
that. Yeah.
if Devin Hopper shed a bunch of weight
Right.
and really stuck to it, I could see him being great.
I see. I mean, we had Chad Cannon on. I think Chad would be great. He still has some years to do it. So he's an athlete, man. So he's an athlete. There's some guys that are athletes like that I like to see.
Those gypsy guys are all athletes. I tell you what,
They are. It's crazy.
all of them are. All right. Chance Turner is one of the most athletic guys that I've ever fought.
All right. So I said 2 minutes. We're going to do 90 seconds. So I need to change this, but
that's no problem.
So,
are you coming to me first?
So this is what we're doing. Explain to them, everybody, what we're going to do as I get this set up.
Sure. So Jeff has some, and I have some just, general, just like rapid fire words. Like you hear this word, what are the things that pop in your head, right? And they're all things that as a collective group that we have, right? We hear all the time. We talk about it amongst ourselves, or people will be like, oh, you do karate? You do karate? What about this? Right? And you're like, I want to stick a rusty fork in your eye. Right?
There's that. Or there's
whatever,
ones in
or whatever
karate.
your feeling is, right? But you have a feeling and an opinion based off of those trigger words. And that's kind of what we're going to do. We're just going to be like, you know what? We all know them. We all have them. Let's talk about them.
Yeah.
All right.
All right. So
you keeping time or am I keeping time?
Let's see. I guess I'll keep time. So we're going to do this in 90 seconds.
You
and you guys time? Yeah, I guess so.
All right.
And you guys can chime in. Please chime in. So this is going to make it fun. So we're going to do 90 seconds. We don't have it where we can have it on here, so we'll make it work though. All right. So first one. Am I putting the thing out first?
Are you? Yeah, you're doing it for me, right?
Yeah. All right. So this is the first because I know how you hate this one, but we all get this one as martial artists. All right, ready? Bruce Lee. Boom.
Freaking overrated. Overrated. I can't. He annoys the hell out of me, right? Because he was so great at his theatrics. And if it wasn't for him, martial arts would not be in the exact position it is. I don't want to say it wouldn't be in America today. I don't want to say it wouldn't be that. No, he definitely had a very integral piece. Without him, it would not exist the same way it does in film, because that is clearly what his focus was as a martial artist. But let's be real, right? His martial arts, right? What you saw him doing, right? It was pretty basic stuff, right? And when you hear the Paul Bunyan stories of him, right?
That's what they are.
Yeah. That's exactly what they are. They're all Paul Bunyan stories, right? And you hear them, it's just like, oh, his forearms were just ripped. I know some guys with some ripped forearms, right? So I'm just not getting it. Oh, his hand speed, from here to here. Nobody could do this faster than Bruce Lee. Maybe don't be there anymore, right? How about that, right? I don't understand.
We got 10 seconds.
Why, if you have something that happened 50 years ago plus, that has to be better than anything that could possibly be today. It doesn't make sense. Guys are bigger, faster, more skilled, and stronger. No. Your average black belt today can have way more skill than your average black belt of that time. What you had to go through then might have been it was a lot more grueling, right? Than what your average black belt has to do today. But let's not kid ourselves. We're better in martial arts today than we were then. We can do more things. Yeah. We've seen like the greatest thing, the unstoppable moves then. Those are purple belt moves today.
Right, and we've been able to evolve. It's not just stick to one style, do this or that, which people say is an influence of Bruce Lee, which I give him that. But
Listen,
still,
people can hate me, but the guy's overrated.
all right, next one. All right, so would be more of a sport karate one. All right, because this is a trigger topic, especially lately, which is funny. But the NBL, go.
NBL got more hate than it deserved.
Yeah.
NBL got way more hate than it deserved. But at the same time, maybe it should have got more. And I'll explain. Because the biggest, if you ask a room full of people within sport karate, like what was wrong with NBL? What didn't you like about NBL? They'll all say the same thing. Boys Slide Hell. All right.
But but that's not actually the truth.
But that is okay, then maybe
that's
I'm
what
wrong
everyone
about
says.
that, right? However, all right, I think that was a big deal as far as what was wrong. Boys said a lot of great things for NBL that we didn't see it at the time, right?
Right.
But what we saw was, man, we just saw some craziness. Like the blood rule didn't make any sense, right? I love that there was a clear-cut rule.
There was a reason for
maybe that one shouldn't have existed.
Right. There was a reason for it because of, again, what we talk about, trying not to get caught into the boxing commission. There was the reason why with that, right?
I get it.
And actually, even in Canada, especially Western Canada, that rule exists up there. Or there's even not even head contact allowed for like kickboxing and things like that. So there's a lot of things where, when you're trying to coordinate something for different areas, not just one, it's a little bit tough. But so, yeah, so there's that. One thing I want to add, in its essence, and a reason why people are like, well, why do you lose all these tournaments? Because if you are a tournament promoter, what do you want to do? You want to make your tournament as high as possible, right? Keep making it bigger and bigger and better, right? There was kind of a glass ceiling. There's kind of a stop, with NBL because
it was cement.
Cement, because you couldn't really go. The biggest one was Super Grands. It wasn't really anything past that. So that's where I feel like, in that part, there's a little bit of you're going to get those people that go. But then the one thing the NBL did better than anybody was picking up young promoters and helping competitors become promoters. And we saw amazing events that pushed the sport forward because of that.
And it's ironic, and then we'll leave, that you pick up all the young promoters to keep the youth and to keep the future of the sport going and the future of the organization going, and yet it's gone.
Right. So yeah, it's
ironic.
It is. All right. We got one more for you, I guess.
Two more.
Okay. The word chamber.
It means a lot of things. I love the word chamber for what it is that you have to do, because there's lots of different chambers. Man, I was working on my chambers today when I was in the gym, right? The fact that I was able to get to the gym today in my stage of life right now, that's amazing. And I had to be at 5:30 in the morning, I'll tell you that, right? So, but yeah, I'm working on them there, right? Because I love the way I love a great chamber. But sometimes that can be a negative. When people hear chamber, they hear, oh, somebody got 2 points for a sidekick because it was a chamber, right? And I really don't like that, right? So, like, someone who had one of the best chambers that I liked a lot, and I better go fast with this, was Justin Ortiz. Justin Ortiz didn't have a tight chamber. He had a chamber that was high but was out in front because he didn't want heavyweights jamming him and coming through him. He was smart, right? So he would chamber high, but he'd put the chamber out in front, like far out, so he's not going to get jammed and pushed
almost
over.
half extended.
Exactly.
Right. Yeah.
So, but it's already half extended.
Right.
So if you get a heavyweight running through you, but you stop him, why shouldn't you get 2 points? Oh, but you didn't fully extend. Yeah, I know I didn't fully extend because I can't, because I just slammed my sidekick into a human person, right? Yeah. What did you want me to do? Break through their entire body? What about all the times people get punches that come like this, right? You give someone a defensive punch. You'll give them 1 point for just doing
All right,
this
5
with
seconds.
your hand. All right, but you stop someone with a side kick midair, you don't get 2 points. Which one's more
And
difficult?
time.
Oh, okay.
So one point for me I want to say is I think people don't train their chamber enough, and that's the
Said
biggest thing as a kicking person.
How you
Actually,
gonna kick? You're not gonna chamber. It doesn't make
I
sense.
think you should try to, if you're going to work on a side kick for 2 weeks, don't even do the side kick, just do the chamber. Then you'll get better. So that's a little tip. All right. Next one is prize money, right? Let's go.
So prize money is interesting because I feel like prize money, you can't take it away now, even though they did. So, I was talking with my boss about this one, and I don't ever want to, work for a different. I definitely want to stay in the same industry I'm at, but I don't ever want to work for a different company because of his commission structure, right? And he says he cannot change his commission structure right now, which is phenomenal, right? It's unheard of what my commission structure is, right? Should not happen. As a business owner, you'd never want to do that, but he can't change it now. What are you gonna do? If you change it, everyone who's currently there is going to leave, right? You'd have to bring in a bunch of people who've never heard of you before to do something different. So if you do that in sport karate and go, nope, the only people who get prize money are the overall winners, people are going to be like, well, you're horrible at what you do. I don't want to do this anymore. You're whatever you want to say. All right. But the people coming in, they might just accept that culture, right? And be like, well, that's just what it is.
Yep, we called it, Drew. You're right. And that's exactly what's going on. And
I said they were never going to bring that thing back.
But Alex, here's the deal. We say they haven't done that in fighting, okay, but they've done it in forums. They used to give runner-up money for forums. They don't. They used to give more money for divisional things. They used to give division money. They took it away. So, it is just something that I think we need, but there also needs to be some type of like a commitment. Say, okay, this is this pay structure for 2 years or something, right? And then up it or look back over it, So, all right. And I don't really know. I don't have yours down, but
was that the last one?
That was the last one.
Oh, I got them. Let me see where they are.
All right. So I had 4. Which one we want to do first?
I know what I want to do. Let's see. Let's do it, Jeff.
Right. You got
intros.
All right. Sport karate intros. Again, Jeremy Roque just put out a tweet, a post on Facebook saying, he went the whole weekend, and it just showed, that of course a fighting only tournament, that we don't need intros at sport karate tournaments, which is great. So I think intros for traditional forms are very pointless. I don't see the point of them anymore, especially since all you need to know is the name of the form. Also, it just takes up time, especially some of these traditional forms. And you find people like saying the intro outside the ring, so that way technically the time doesn't start, so they don't get DQ'd. In NBL, it was, that 3 minutes was, big. You do super MP, you're going to go over if you do an intro. So I think you don't need them in traditional. I think for junior, first timer competitors, it's a good thing to do for that confidence, just to get them in there. But I think that it's just something that has kind of gotten so basic and routine, especially in open. They really walk forward. They say 2 words and then they walk back. If you're going to use that time, then use it to get the people hyped, right? Watch someone like myself do an intro, watch John Belair do an intro, watch Matt Emming, watch people like that do intros that really get people hyped. David Douglas, my name, it doesn't matter, things like that. So I think a good intro, like Drew says, can set the tone, but guys, please be creative and don't be silly. I don't need to see you fix your uniform.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. If I see that again, I don't know. We should have something like you should do your form on like uh, Legos or something like that. I don't know.
All right, next one, nighttime finals.
Okay, so I have a love-hate relationship with nighttime finals because I think great nighttime finals are what our sport needs. Crappy ones, which we get more of, we need less of. We don't need those. So we could say that with anything, but a good nighttime show should be about 2 to 2.5 hours. I don't think once we're pushing past that, it's too much. Some have been and been great. I also think the use of a stage is a little
Overrated.
it's overrated. I think there's ways to do it, to where you have stadium seating, which is hard, I know, to get, but
It's hard to
there's
get. It's
ways
hard
to do it.
but it's safer.
Right. And it's safer for not only the fighters, but even for the forms competitors too.
Who was the last finals you went to that was 2.5 hours?
Mine.
No, I don't know. I think Mike Welch had his was 2.5.
Mike's is because him and we worked together.
You guys use the same format. That's
yeah,
why.
we use the same format. Same thing with Slugfest. Several different ones like that. We use the same format. There's some other ones. I know that Gators always had a good one.
Yeah.
Greg Beaver down there in Texas made sure his was on time. Then there's some that are just way too long. I like the whole thing of putting the highlight on certain people and the importance of it. But could we maybe do less of it? Or not every event has to have a finals. I think that's the thing. Not every event has to have it. I like the way they do Irish Open at the end of the day. Do more of that. So, all right.
I want to comment on Mike's part here when he says more
Yeah.
fighting, but I could do without. So the thing is, like when you mentioned the Irish Open, when their gala, that's kind of what they call it.
Yeah.
It's flip-flopped.
Yeah.
They do like 3 form performances and then it's all fighting.
Right.
They do it, but the culture has it backwards too. There'll be fights and people just be not paying attention at all.
Right. Exactly.
So it's interesting. You can't just say, "Oh, if you was all fighting, people would pay attention." That's not necessarily the case.
That's not true at all. No, it needs to be a well-balanced show.
You don't need to kidnap us and make us watch whatever you put out. We can do whatever we want. You don't have to keep us here.
Correct.
You don't have to release us at 11:30 at night.
Well, and that's the thing too. People want to go and see things. I think that's important. So, all right, next part.
Traditional kicks.
Okay. So I have a different take on this. So my issue is when people are like, sorry, in that style, it should not be that way, or it should not be this way. And because it needs to be this style, you should do it this way. So you're telling me I should do a kick crappy because I'm doing this form or this way? I feel like if there's a best way of doing a kick, then you do it that way. Okay. Within the grounds of that form. I've learned Shotokan, Taekwondo, American Freestyle, many other styles. I've figured out a way to do a side kick the best way and still within the grounds, right? So I just feel like use that tradition, but also like don't get stuck in that. Like, I'm sorry, but I point my toes in my front kick. Okay, well, I'm sorry, I don't think that makes any sense. I feel like hit with the ball of your foot. But again, some people have it in their style to do that. I think, we've found out different ways. Like if you want to throw and lock a side kick, there's different ways to do it. Some people say you have to keep it here and go straight out. Some want to pull it up and then rotate over. Figure out what works best with you and make it work. But kicking needs to be shown more in traditional forms. I think that's the biggest problem, is that we don't see enough of it. And, that's just my take. Yeah, it is an open tournament. It shouldn't be judged in those particulars, but it usually is, I don't know what you think about that. I don't know if I surprised you on that one, but.
No, you didn't surprise me.
Yeah.
I would have probably said just about everything you did. One thing I'll add, and then I'll let it go, is martial arts. I'm going to umbrella martial arts, not sport karate. Martial arts has a way of standing in the way of progression in the name of tradition.
Big time.
Oh, no. This
think.
is the way Gichin Funakoshi did it. This is how it must be done. This is the best way. Like, oh, so for decades, nobody could have thought of anything better.
Right.
Nobody could have done anything better. Right?
And
I heard
that's
this quote one time, and this was shockingly, it was NBA related, right?
Oh.
Gilbert Arenas. If anybody remembers Gilbert Arenas, he was one of the best basketball players in the world when he was playing, right? Yep. He was talking about, you know, the ways of the guys in like 2000s and 2010s. Could they play against the guys in the 80s and 90s? And he reversed it on him. He goes, the guys in the 80s and 90s couldn't hold a candlestick to the guys in the 2010s. And the interviewer was shocked. And he goes, think about it. You got guys that can go out. You got power forwards and centers that are shooting threes today. You got guys that are ball handling, all right, like crazy passers. You got guys back then. The only person who could ball handle, there was one guy on the floor from your team who was a legit ball handler. That's not the case now. You have got all 5 guys can do that. How do you stay in front of a guy like that? You just can't. You cannot stay in front of a guy like that. So we have the same type of idea. We were talking about that earlier when I was talking about the Bruce Lee thing. The skill set's so much better now. It's so much better. Why do we have to think that it was, oh, this is the way, this is tradition, so it must be better? It's not better.
Right. You create a format and then you evolve and improve from within that format. You know, I mean, that's what the tradition is. So, yeah, I love that. All right, one more. We got one more.
All right, last one. This could be the trigger of all triggers.
And then we got to do rapid fire on our competitors a week. So
CMX.
Oh, God. So this is a funny question because I was helping one of my students get registered for the Battle of Atlanta. And I was explaining how to use the term CMX. She was like, what? I was like, oh, God. I have to explain this. Creative Musical Extreme. And so it's like we just,
like,
instead of just saying open, you know, or I'm like, yeah, no, because they were saying, oh, I don't think they have anything Friday. I'm like, yeah, you have CMX divisions. You have a Creative Musical Extreme division. Well, you told me not to do Extreme. I'm like, yeah, but you have Creative Musical Extreme. They're all done on Friday. Oh, so it's just those 3 different types and you call it CMX. Like, yeah, that's what CMX is. So it's just silly. It's just another way for us to make things shorter or whatever. But my idea as far as it's open. It's open forms. You know what I mean? That's what it is. And so it's an open style. So that's, you know, when I say we have traditional grands, we have open grands. You know, in NBL, we use the term contemporary. You know, I'd just rather say open because contemporary
open was
a
the
little
best
weird.
way to say it. It was the best.
Yeah, just open.
We should really just go back to that traditional open.
Right.
Am I right?
Right. It's cool. So, but
it would make so much more sense.
All right, let's get into our competitors a week, and then we are finishing up, guys.
All right, I'll go first.
Yep.
And I'll go rapid fire with it as much as I can. So talked about early guys that were in their juniors who were just like, you know, there was a ceiling because there's only so much they can do. They can win their division. Maybe they got a couple of guys that they can like find to do junior team fights with. But other than that, you know, they're the best junior black belt fighter in the world. And one of those guys for their last year in the juniors was Damien Rodriguez. Damien Rodriguez was a guy you watched from the beginning of his last year till the end of it. And you knew like, this guy's going up. It was kind of like watching a one and done NCAA men's basketball player. Like, you know, they're going to the pros. So let's just watch them now. Right. Let's see. How do you think they're really going to be? You know, they're going to the pros, right? You already know it's over. They're going to the pros, right? Let's see. Maybe let's get a preview of what it could be like when they're playing prime time. That was Damien Rodriguez, right? Another guy like that I remember who was very comparable was Ross Levine, but I actually feel like Damien Rodriguez, the book was out on him right away because he came after a guy like Ross Levine, right? So Damien was all of that. And I just felt like it was so interesting watching Damien because he started right away on Team Straight Up. Joe Greenhaw is amazing at finding talent and coaching them up from raw, all right, and then getting them to a very competitive level. You're right, Drew. He was great at fighting and traditional forms. He still is, right? He fought not that long ago, right? And then, he did, and I almost feel like it was a disservice to him being on the Full Circle thing, right? Because look at who was on his team at the time. You had
Ross, Jason at time.
Let's look at the lightweights. Yeah. The lightweight division was packed. You had Damien, Dylan Suarez,
who's the
Hamed Farouzi.
Yep.
And then there was like 3 other lightweights too.
Eventually, later on, Justin was on there.
Justin Ortiz, all of them in the same division.
Victor was on there.
Victor Suarez, look at that, right? And so it's like
there's more too.
Look at that, John Curtillo, exactly. So, yeah, here's some irony. All those names, John Curtillo is the guy still on top.
Right.
Didn't think that would happen, right? Yep. Yeah, Kevin Walker. Kevin Walker was a little young, right? Yep. I think, Kevin Walker was still a junior when he was there. But you're right. Yeah.
Rusty, Houston
Thomas. Yeah, look at that. Rusty Clark. The classic example of that.
All right, well, let's talk about him right now, and then we'll go to the next one.
Damien, I remember watching him when he just did his own thing when he was on Miami Vice. Dude was fantastic. Watched him beat Raymond Daniels in Pan Am, and the way he beat him, I was like, this dude's brilliant. This dude's brilliant. He's like a quarter of the size of Ray. How is that possible, right?
Right.
And he's a fantastic coach. Fantastic.
Great coach.
If you really want to get insight, don't just watch how fighters fight. You should watch how fighters fight. Watch and listen to how coaches coach. You will pick up so much information. You will become such a better fighter. You're right. The fadeaway defensive side kicks were great. You will become such a better fighter by listening. Listen to good coaches. Sometimes you can listen to a coach who you don't think is that smart, and you listen to him and you're like, whoa, you're even better than your fighters. Yep. Your fighters should be listening to you more.
Exactly.
You're brilliant.
Yep. Love it. All right. My competitor of the week is Gemma Yuen.
Man.
So Gemma, one of my favorite kickers. She was on my kicking list. I think I had her number 4. She could be higher. She just amazing flexibility, amazing.
She wasn't 4. Kicks. You had one person who was 4 that I didn't exactly.
Oh, she might have been 5th then. Well, I think I had her higher than. She might have been 3 then. Actually,
I think you're right.
Yeah. Gemma was amazing in nunchucks. She came out of after Matt Komoski left Charlie Lee. She stepped in and did team forms with Dave Moss and just stole the show. Adding that little cute factor, but she could kick.
But her skill level was way higher.
Yeah, and her nunchucks were so just ahead of her time. And there was really at that time 2 styles of nunchucks that were both the same age, Matt Emming and Gemma. And there were 2 completely different styles, really. One was a chain, one was a rope. And then the way they did those styles were different. And so Gemma was very successful as a junior, and then moved out, to California, did some things with loop kicks, and has been a successful stunt actress and doing a lot of different things out there. She actually has a movie coming out, which is new, Everything Everywhere All at Once. She's doing that, with the why can't I think of this lady's name? That was in Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon, the actress, Michelle Yale, I think is her name. Yeah. So it looks pretty awesome. Going to be a great action movie with everything. So go and check that out. Jim is in there, and several other tricking guys that do stunts now are in there. So she was in the final few. Mickey, you're right. Yeah. Gemma and Mindy at the Capitol Classics 2004 was definitely funny and interesting.
Oh my gosh, look at what Drew just said. Wasn't she in the Final Fu?
Yeah, the final.
That
four,
was
yeah.
something that did. No, I can't think of anything that did worse things for martial arts than Final Fu. Final
Hey,
Fu is
Damon
something we
Sterling
all
won
need
that,
to erase from our memory
Damon Sterling won that.
and then
so.
bring up around a campfire later.
But again, Gemma, really, if you haven't gone and watched, young women, go out and watch her forms. Check her Instagram out. Check her combos, her kick combos. She was able to do, the way she does flips and uses her flexibility, and just personality too. That was something that she brought to the table, and she's doing that now in her career now. So
She didn't
go
exploit when
check her
she
out.
was really young. She didn't exploit the cute factor. It just happened.
Well, all right. There you
I
go.
felt like it just happened.
Yeah.
I don't
Okay.
feel like she did the.
She always did this little thing. Yeah, she did do that. Always.
Did she really? And
Yeah,
I just missed it. Is that
you
really
just
what it
missed
is?
You missed it, but it's okay.
All right, I missed it. That's
was
fine.
good.
I'm okay
She
with
could
it.
actually do martial arts, so it was good.
Oh, she was great.
Yeah, she was great.
But what you started to mention, like the standing kicking,
Mhm.
that's an extreme lost art that needs to come back.
Right.
Needs to. Martial arts is suffering because of it.
It's yep. But we share that all the time.
That's another
another
topic
one.
for another pod.
So this was fun. I think we covered a lot of different topics.
Yeah, we did.
Again, guys, thank you so much to Virtual Fight Tour for sponsoring us. Check them out. Go and get signed up. Ladies, senior teams, reach out to Jesse and start setting it up. And Alex, awesome job tonight, man. We had a lot of fun. And let's see. She did that. Yeah, she did the kick standing on David's back, which was cool. And
yeah, that was cool.
Lots of cool things and comments in here. Thank you, insiders, for checking us out. Next
you know what's
week,
going to happen soon? Someone's going to sponsor the Legends team.
That's
right. Come back. You know who it's probably going to be? It's probably going to be Mike P, Jason, and Johnny. Ooh, wouldn't that be something?
I like it. Next week. Is it next week? We're going to have Keith Weston on. So this is going to be great. So, and you don't really know. I don't think you've ever met Keith Weston. So it's going to be cool.
No, but he and I have been chatting together.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah, but I have not met the guy personally.
Awesome.
So I'm actually very excited.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
To talk about him.
Yep. All right. So this is going to be fun. All right.
This has been another episode of Inside Scoop with Alex and Jeff. I am Alex Dingman.
I'm Jeff Doss. See you guys next week. Have a blessed one.